Afternoon, everybody. We'll get started here in just 1 minute. The DaaS sales workshop. So this will be applicable no matter kind of what level of program you're in, whether you're in a DaaS, resellers program, or in the incubator, maybe just, working with one client or testing out the data and using it for yourself and looking to upgrade. But what I cover is more the sales side of things. That's my area of expertise. That's why this is the sales workshop. So what we don't really cover on this is, the tech side of things, support questions. Those are what the, office hours workshops, media buying, the support tickets, et cetera, et cetera. That's not really what I cover or my area of expertise whatsoever. So I like to stick to more sales related stuff, and more specifically, a couple things that, number one, I'm going to jump into something that I drop to you guys every week. So some of you guys that have been on for a few, you'll already have this. I know each week, and not hosting one last week, there's probably going to be a couple of new faces on here, as there pretty much always is as well. So I'm just going to share my screen real quick and just drop the first link that I like to share with everybody each week in the chat here. So this is something we compiled, and if you're in one of our DaaS programs, you probably received this in your onboarding materials, but not all the incubator clients or people just in the school community may have seen this if they've never been on a workshop. So this is just a quick 6-resource blueprint, for lack of a better phrase, that I laid out that is kind of everything you need to start closing data deals and data as a service clients. Everything from number one, the document on the sales process, game plan, timeline, and there's a tutorial video going over that document and explaining it further. Some current ads and copy and messaging that we use to get deals. 4 and 5 are the 2 frameworks or scripts we use for our 2-call process internally. One's more of a triage call, a pre-qualifying, and then one of the master doc here is more of your actual sales script, and then a copy of the pitch deck that we need guys to utilize in sales presentations and multiple other avenues. So I'm just going to copy this and start with this and just drop it there for everybody in the chat really quick. And then I'm going to kind of dive into today's lesson and what I want to cover before we dive into a bit of a Q&A. I'm actually going to roll out something new today that I've been working on since mid to late November. I've been refining. I probably only taught it to 3 to 5 private clients and some of my one-on-one coaching I do in my sales lab and my PDOCS groups and businesses outside of Audience Lab. I mean, they're all kind of intertwined. And then in essence, they're all their separate entities as well. So again, let me go drop this link first in the chat before I dive into the next thing. Make sure everybody has that. So that is the Google Doc link right there in the chat sent to everybody. So, either click on it, copy and paste it, save it. I think that's really helpful if you haven't already gotten that. Now, what I want to dive into today and cover is everything that I've done. So I don't know, how many of you guys follow me personally or see what we're doing at Audience Lab. You may see we're at consistent 100K months in new revenue coming in. That's just new business outside of our existing, MRR and existing client base. And we get about 80K a month in new MRR revenue. And that's been kind of our consistent, that's what we tried to get to in Q3 going into 4 of last year and hit that consistently, which we did September, October, November, December, either that or a little higher in terms of 100K cash collected and 80K new MRR in our businesses. Now, I oversee and run our Audience Lab sales team, but I also, run a company called the Sales Lab with my other business partner, Jesse. And, we manage multiple teams. We build sales teams. We hire, place, and train reps and kind of everything that goes with remote high-ticket sales teams. So what I've been breaking down since November is what I'm seeing working best in all kinds of different presentations. So different price points, because even within Audience Lab, the way we all stack up our offers and the way we use this, you guys offer this on different price points than the next guy, than we charge, right? Everybody's doing this in different price points. We can get people into entry-level packages. We can get people into, high-tier enterprise, packages where they get access to everything. And there's different ways that we go about selling those different things. So I kind of want to go through what I've discovered and what I've broken down. And when I first dove into this and really sunk my teeth into, this data and really spending a lot of time breaking this all down in November, I created a YouTube video. And that's when I actually first, the document you see on my screen, I first made. I've since added to it as I've been refining and seeing the feedback loops that are coming in and implementing this in our businesses and other teams' businesses. So I wanted to share it because This is a sales workshop, and I think this is relevant to any type of sales. More specifically, I can obviously make examples that are relevant to the data side of things and what we're doing here. But that's kind of what I want to dive into. So, guys, as I'm going through, again, I'm going to leave time for a Q&A, but when I'm going through things, either jot it down or type it in the chat so I can come back to it. If you have questions on stuff I'm covering, when it's fresh on your brain. I don't know if you guys are the same as me, but if I don't jot it down or type it while I'm thinking it, you get to the end, I'm like, shit, what did I want to ask? So, but I'll come back to probably a lot of the questions and stuff. But what I want to go through is the different types of sales presentations I see work, and break those down, and really what makes the effective ones. Again, what I was talking about with the data, I still funnel hack. So I get on other competitor sales calls and I look at their pitches and how they're demoing, how they drop price, how they overcome objections, just everything that goes with it, and what makes good sales processes convert and what makes bad ones get objections. And I'll think about it and send me a proposal and all the brush off stuff that we hear. Everyone else on, if you could mute, and then we'll just save. I'll open it up for a Q&A at the end, just so there's no feedback and background. That'd be great. Appreciate it, guys. But anyway, making money with online sales presentations. Let's just dive into it. Let's start out with the 3 stages and or phases to pull this off and execute this. And this is kind of common sense, but let's just spell it out, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty down below. But number 1, we need to pack or fill a room or put butts in the seats. Now, again, does that mean fill a room? In some cases, if we want to do larger sales presentations, but that also means just pack and fill the sales team's calendar and put butts in sales calls, right? That could be you guys taking your own calls. You could have a rep, you could have a team. Everybody's at different stages. So no matter if that's bringing people into one-on-one sales calls or that's putting 30 people into a room and doing a pitch, it's getting the right people in their seats. So again, we all do different things. I think these are the strategies that are probably most prevalent right now to put butts in seats for all of us, right? We use strategies like paid ads. Podcast interviews have obviously gotten a lot bigger. Social media content is currently king, I think. The people putting out the most content, you see them over and over, are the people you buy from, generally speaking, right? Same with the email campaigns. Most people don't buy off one email, but when you get in somebody's sequence and they hit you daily and you finally open one, you're like, shit, all right, he got to me. I'm finally gonna buy his $97 yada 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 or whatever it is, right? But whatever to attract an audience, right? Those are just some of the strategies that's genuinely interested in solving a problem in their life or business. Like that's what we're all doing, right? I think a lot of times we overcomplicate the sales side of things by just looking too far into it. And I mean, there's really not another word except using the same word and overcomplicating it, right? So number 1, pack or fill a room, right? And put butts in the seats. And that could be pack or fill a calendar. And I can show you guys exactly how we do that. Then it's to speak or say the right thing, right? So we get the right person onto the right call and say the right thing. And that's where I'm going to get into below what I called, I've kind of crafted this framework. Not that I've invented it, but I've just kind of broken it down simpler and put it into what I call a 4C pitch framework that can show your customer a tangible result or an outcome, right? That's really what we're doing. And then we say the right thing to the right person, and then we simply make the perfect offer. I mean, those are the 3 stages that go into an effective sales process. Are there more nuances and intricacies? Sure, but again, let's focus on the 3 things that are really relevant to making any sales process convert in the end, right? So make the perfect offer, and which of the different styles of offers. So that's what I'm going to dive into after I go into this 4C framework. I'm going to show you the 4 styles of pitches, which is kind of what I led off talking about, that I've been breaking down, going through all this and seeing them in their different objectives and their different roles and their different use cases, right? So out of the 3 I just lifted above, in a quick general training, number 1 is a little difficult to cover. I'm not going to sit here and go through all the different ways that we can pack or fill a room. I think most people that are in with Audience Lab and kind of this far in their journeys probably know of these different strategies, right? And we could do a whole workshop on that, but I think that's kind of a whole different topic to an extent. Again, it's just doing it effectively. So no matter what strategy we're using, right, that I highlighted here, are we doing paid ads? Are we doing podcasts, content, emails, social media, et cetera, et cetera? But wherever we're doing it, it's super important to get the right things, to get the messaging right. And if we're not doing that, it doesn't really matter how we're doing it, right? So we still got to get back to the basics sometimes. And that's something I still, guys, very often have to remind myself. I get too caught in the weeds of things like, 6 steps in the funnel. I'm like, oh, it's actually a basic fundamental flaw. It usually isn't that little thing down the road. It's usually one of these things that's hesitant, making a process a little more, have more challenges, more roadblocks. It's just not converting the way it should. Maybe it's not converting at all, right? So number two, has a proven and tested framework. And that's what I want to break down. That's what I talk about, the 4C framework. What I've seen work in every single pitch that's been effective and gets good conversion rates and profitable businesses over and over. And the ones I studied, I've seen us do this for multiple offers, multiple industries. These people have pivoted from, say, 2019 to 2025 into agencies, coaching, courses, masterminds, and they've had success in all of them. And then kind of what I broke down was, well, to have success in all of them, their pitches all came back to this, right? Number one, they were captivating. And how do we do that? We do that by entertaining, by intriguing, by enticing, sometimes by humor. But again, I wouldn't overthink this. If you're not normally funny, or you don't put humor into your normal content or how you speak, I wouldn't try to do that to be captivating. Use your own skill set. For instance, for me, one thing I'm aware of, I have a pretty good captivating speaking voice. So if I can give good content to people and get it across in a simple, understandable manner, that works into my favor. Like, I'm aware of that. So there's things everybody does. Some people do it with their voice. Some people do it with their mannerisms. Some people do it with their how they enunciate. Some people do it with humor. But anything you can do to be more captivating. And the easiest way I tell people to do this, if they're like, I'm not sure I'm very entertaining or intriguing, okay, then be relatable. At least relate to people. Sometimes that's talking about, your flaws and mistakes. People never relate to somebody that's perfect, right? Things like that. So number one is have a captivating presentation, not just some boring thing that, you can tell the guy on the other end of the Zoom call is yawning as you're going through it. That's a big red flag. Let's go back and reverse engineer the pitch or the presentation and make it a little more captivating, right? Now it's got to be customized. So it's got to feel like what you're saying was right to this person. You're speaking to his problem and showing him the clearest path to his solution, right? Which kind of will tie into everything else. But if it was designed specifically for them, there's not much more, not much more ways to say that any clearer, right? Certain. So you have to be certain you can deliver the results. So when you present this solution to somebody, in this case, data to lower their costs, to get better targeting, to get a bigger lead base, to have more people to blast out in your email campaigns, whatever that is, I always tell when people ask me what I'm selling, I'm not selling data. I'm not selling sales training. I'm not selling coaching or marketing or courses. I'm selling certainty. Certainty that this vehicle, whatever it is out of those examples I just mentioned, can get you to desired result. And the quicker we realize that, the quicker you can actually embed that into how you present and pitch to people, right? But and certainty, there's little tricks we use. How do we know we have certainty if we're really not that good at reading the prospect, or it's not clear on their language? Some people are more reserved and they could be all in, but they don't always show it, right? So that's where we use things like tie downs and temp checks in our sales processes to gauge their certainty before we ever dive into price, right? And then clear. I think as much as this seems so simple, I think people try to get really clever with their messaging and their pitch, and they lose the clarity. And as soon as something's not clear about how I get from A to B, you overcomplicated it by going into the back end coding of your AI voice bot that gets this result. Like, nobody cares about that. That's where you're going to lose people. You need to be clear about, hey, this is what it does, and this is how it does it. And I think a lot of people sacrifice clarity in their messaging to try to get too clever. Now, I will say, I do think the best messaging has a combination of the two, but I think a lot of people sacrifice clear for clever, and I'll take a clear message over clever all day. And again, in our presentation, is it really clear at the end? Because I've heard people that have, got on and say, Ray, I got this feedback. Like, at the end of the call, the prospect is like, well, that sounds great, Scott, but I'm not really sure what you're actually offering me or how this works. So like there obviously wasn't clarity. If they've got to the end of the pitch and the feedback is, it sounds good, but I'm still not certain exactly how it works, right? And a lot of times that dives down to overcomplicating things and just talking too much about deliverables and not features. Talking about, exactly what I just said. Deliverables, features are the same. What I meant was features and deliverables, not benefits and outcomes. And that's what we want to do. We want to talk about benefits and outcomes, tangible results. As I said back earlier, right? To speak and say the right thing, you need to show your customer a tangible result or an outcome. So again, diving into that 4C framework, if you can kind of go through how you talk and how you pitch, and again, I'm going to dive into the four different types of pitches, but this is relevant again, whether it's a one-on-one sales call, whether it's a short VSL and I'm selling through an actual landing page, whether I'm going to a live presentation and selling in an arena like this with 20 or 30 people on a Zoom call, whatever, right? This all applies, and that's what I wanted to show you guys with this training, this breakdown. When I came to this, again, it was through breaking down all kinds of different offers and price points and pitches, and just taking what was successful over and over again, and like it just came down to these simple things that were highlighted. And again, I know some people hopped on late, and I'm going to upload the replay, but just to go back through, the quick premises is pack or fill a room or a calendar or your inbox with the right people. So putting butts in the seats, pack or fill a room. Once you do that, speak or say the right thing in your messaging, and then make the perfect offer, right? And I dove into those and elaborate a little more. Now, how to speak and say the right thing, I just broke down my 4C framework. And if you can invoke this into how you speak in your messaging and your presentation, I think it'll make a world of difference. And that's what I've seen just over and over again. Now, again, number 3 above was somewhat self-explanatory, going back to this, making the perfect offer. But then there are different styles of offers and different, for different times, different price points, different objectives. You're going to make an offer much different, right, for your $7 ebook than your $19.97 a month data package or whatever, right? Those are all going to be different. So, it's not always that simple, but, and some people, not on this call, hopefully, but when I was teaching this earlier, some people don't even have an offer or know what to offer. There is simple solutions for that as well. I don't think I want to dive into that too much, but if people are curious about that, let me know in the chat, and I'll cover it later or make a small little segment on that. I think most people within Audience Lab, especially our DaaS clients, do have an offer, so that wouldn't necessarily apply to maybe many of you, right? But your offer this is about your vehicle and how it's the best path to a success, which is directly tied to a result or an outcome or transformation. It's not always monetary. In most of our offers, these are ROI type of offers. This is software, this is data, this is technology, this is AI, this is cutting edge stuff. But sometimes, and I teach this stuff to people that also have transformational offers. It could be weight loss, could be divorce and relationship stuff. It's still about showing that your vehicle, your offer, is the best path on how to get from A to B. And the 4 best options to do this, just over and over again, when I broke down all these things I broke down, it always came back to these 4 things. All of these offers, they either, hey, Dave, let me do it for you. Hey, Dave, we can hold your hand and do it with you. Hey, Mr. Customer, what if I could show you how to get that result faster? Hey, what if I could show you how to get that result easier or better, right? So any combination of those, some of us might just do one, some might do a combination of those. For instance, with Audience Lab, it should be able to make you lower your ad cost faster, easier, cheaper, with less testing. There's all kinds of benefits. You can, hey, a lot of people, they're not getting results with their ads. So you know what they're doing? They're going and testing and tweaking new copy all the time, but not really trying new targeting and new audiences. A lot of times it's going to save them money and time in content creation by just targeting better audiences with the ads that have already worked, right? So again, showing people I can do it for you, right? I can take your ads, I can embed the data and run them for you. I know some of you guys do that. Some of you guys aren't full ad experts, and it's like, hey, we can give you the data. I can give you a tutorial and show you how to embed it into your Facebook ad manager, whatever. Do it with them. So again, which one, when, and done right is what gives you really only one way to fail. And that is you're just not talking to the right people. That's the only way you fail, when you actually get your messaging right and your offer right, and you're either doing one of these 4 things for them, maybe 5 things, right? I don't know if you want to call better the same as faster and easier, but they kind of fall into the same. But we're almost always doing something done for, done with. Now, of course, there's do it yourself, right? But I don't think, and us ourselves, we don't sell just a lot of do-it-yourself courses. We sell a software with consulting and support. And yeah, there's some course materials, but it's not all just here, go do it yourself. And of course, that is another option. I didn't put that in there because I don't work with a lot of just solely course creators. It's usually a secondary aspect at best, sometimes third, fourth, fifth, aspect. So again, guys, so the 4 styles of pitches, and that's what I'm going to cover next. So the next aspect is really equally important, but by no means is this My IP, again, I told you guys, pretty much everything you're ever going to learn in sales or marketing is not new to that person. They probably just broke it down a little simpler and or have gone and looked at 10 other people that have done it successfully. That's where I've had the most success, guys. It's not methods I've found, it's method I've followed and then tweaked and said, oh, that worked really good for these 5 people. Let me tweak it to my business, to my offer. So again, I just like to be very clear. I didn't come up with this. I didn't invent this. I just broke it down simpler, I think, and spent countless hours kind of breaking down some data. But again, by no means is this mine. This is just simply what's being used by successful entrepreneurs and business owners leading their respective industries currently. So again, I really came down to 4 real pitch styles. Now there's our micro pitch, right? Which is simply our one-liner, which we've all seen these. A lot of people were probably taught early on by their first coach or course to, this is what you do in your Facebook 101 character bio, right? This is your tagline. I help X do Y without, whatever, however you want to break it down, right? And I can give plenty of examples. I used to always make the joke, I help busy entrepreneurs overcome burnout without giving up their firstborn child, right? It could be something crazy funny to actually make it stand out, but everybody kind of has their I help statement. And what that really is I help, first blank, is your ideal audience. For us, for me, I would put in there for our audience lab and who we go after. We're going after advertisers and agencies. So I help advertisers and agencies achieve desired result or outcome, lower cost per lead, lower cost per acquisition without, again, you could insert, and I like to say the without is like the mainstream solution. What is that? Hiring a media buyer, hiring a Facebook ad agency, taking a course, whatever one is kind of that mainstream thing that people are doing. And then buy is just saying what your product does by giving you in-market intent-based first-party data, whatever, right? So again, I help ideal audience achieve desired result without, I would say, mainstream solution that other people are trying or doing by whatever my product or my solution does. And that's your one-liner, right? It's very quickly that. So again, this one's not really to sell something, but I think the more you can really tell somebody what you do in the shortest possible time. And when somebody asks what you do, if you just boom, 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 and kind of know this, I think it's even better when you can make multiple variations of this. Like for me, I don't always say this the exact same way. I just broke it down. I probably never said it just the way I said it right there. Every time I kind of make a little variation of it, but it's kind of always the same. But again, purpose in red to quickly tell somebody what you do clearly and as few words as possible. And the potential to sell with this is usually none. This is usually kind of a brand awareness, for instance, an entry level opener you would use. But you could still be using this in your longer form. I guarantee you at some point in all the other 3 I'm going to mention below, I still use this. It's just I don't use it in this capacity. So the micro pitch, right? Just being able to very clearly and in minimal words. Brevity is important in what we do, guys. And that goes back to clear over clever. Just very clearly, make it clear what you do, right? Potential to sell, usually none. So next is the short form, right? That's your 5 or 10 minute VSL. And what I've found, and I think most of you guys could probably relate in either your buying journey, your selling journey, wherever you're at, that this is usually somewhat effective for selling low to mid ticket items or to send to a call, right? Your VSL might be to a high ticket call. I would say that's the best purpose, right? So the purpose of your VSL is either to quickly sell a low cost offer or to persuade somebody to take the next step, such as booking a call, scheduling a sales call for a higher priced offer, etc. I think the potential to just sell through a VSL without sending to a sales call is somewhere between your $7 ebook or, whatever, up to say a $9.97 or around $1,000. That's what I've seen work. You got to be really good though, and really be, have your messaging and your presentation dialed to get on the upper echelon of that just through a VSL sales page. But I've certainly seen it work over and over again. And what I noticed is once it got above that $1,000 price point, anything when I started to hop on calls and looking at business owners selling $1,497, $1,997, above $1,000, they weren't doing it just through a VSL. They might be using the VSL just to book a call, right? So usually $700 to $1,000. Or to set a sales appointment for a premium offer of 3K or higher, what I noticed in most of these. So again, So next would be your long presentation, right? Your long pitch. So we have 4 different kinds of pitch. Micro pitch, I didn't put the word pitch after each one, but you guys get it. Micro pitch, short pitch, long pitch, and you'll see the next one before I dive down the workshop pitch, right? So your long pitch, and we've all probably either created or attended, guarantee you everybody on this call right now has either created or attended a webinar, a masterclass, a speaking event, etc. I find it hard pressed to think everybody here has not at least attended one. And I would go as far to say a majority of people, over 50% of you, have probably created one. Have we created one that's successful and converted? That number probably goes much below 50% when you get to that, because maybe we didn't do a lot of these other things really well, or maybe we didn't keep it basic, or a lot of the things I've talked about in the first 30 minutes here. But again, those are just a few examples. I'm sure you can find other avenues of hour-long presentations outside of those, but I listed some of the basic ones, right? Now, the purpose here really, as much as you might not think, similar to this short form one where I said to tell somebody, what you do as clearly in as few words as possible. The objective is still to do the same here, believe it or not, but it's in a much different format objective than number one, because you're also going to be teaching. So you're still going to do that. You're only going to do it multiple times. If you notice throughout a webinar or a master class, especially when it's one with an upsell or a call booking, they offer it a few times throughout the event, but they very clearly say, probably right when they kick off the webinar in the intro, right? Hey guys, this is for entrepreneurs, agencies, digital owners, and brands, and this is kind of what we're here to teach you today, right? In short form, this is what we do. We help brands and advertisers, get lower cost per lead and cost per acquisition by using in-market first-party data and embedding that into their ad campaigns. In this next hour, I'm going to show you exactly how we do that, and then more importantly, I'm going to make you an offer for how you go offer this to people and teach you how to do this, right? Boom, boom, boom. Like they dive right into it. So they still say it very clearly, but the point is you're going to do it 2, 3, 4 times sporadically throughout a particular presentation, especially if you're doing it live. If you have an evergreen webinar, it would be a little different, but I guarantee you there's still more than one call to action regardless. And again, what I've seen work here is the potential to sell anywhere from 250 to about 2,500, or again, in higher ticket, offers where you're selling 5K or more, you could certainly use long form to book sales appointments, for instance. And I'd be happy to show you guys the feedback if you want to see, but for one of my offers in Sales Lab, my pre-call resource that I require people to watch is an hour-and-a-half long masterclass. You'd be like, you're crazy to make somebody or pre-qualify somebody that way. But what I've learned is my best clients have a bit of patience, and people that can go through long-form resources have patience. They ultimately, it works into a pre-qualifier. That's why I also target secondary characteristics when I look for data fields. For instance, I look for a lot of avid readers because those people are patient. They invest in themselves. Generally speaking, they have higher focus. All the kind of criteria that I look for in ideal clients to work with me in higher capacity roles. So everything I kind of do and think about when I'm using this number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, there's a different objective for it. And specifically with long form, it's because if I want them, or I'm going to ultimately enroll them or pitch them into some type of high ticket offer, there's usually something required out of the prospect too. And I want people that are going to put in the work. So for instance, long story short, this example I was just giving, and I'll bring up the screenshot or I'll bring up the conversation and show you guys, but this guy went through the hour-and-a-half long masterclass, booked the sales call, and then I hold people accountable and take it a little further. I was like, hey, I forget the guy's first name right now because it was kind of a long foreign name potentially, just it wasn't an everyday Mike or whatever, but I was like, hey, so I'm great that you went through the resource, looking forward to our call next week, yada yada yada. Hey, tell me some of your biggest takeaways. And the guy's like, well, what do you mean, like about your process or the industry as a whole? I'm like, you know what, I'd like to hear your takeaway as the remote high ticket sales industry as a whole, my process, my frameworks, and the principles that we cover. And he's like, you know what, it was great, and I went through it. I'd like to go through it a little deeper to give you the feedback. He came back and gave me a freaking list, like a look at, the receipts you get from CVS nowadays, how long those are. That was my feedback. Usually I get a paragraph back for somebody and I'm happy. And this guy went on to list all that stuff. So like, these are just all pre-qualifiers that's the right person in the right process and in the right system. And you see just sometimes even abnormal results that I wouldn't expect. because what I deliver, when I know I deliver in that hour and a half, is everything I said above in these 4 C's. I know it was captivating. I know it was customized to feel like it was for him. I know I delivered certainty in our vehicle, in our offer. And I know I was 100% clear in the core values and what we do that get results in our hybrid closer slash sales lab company and courses. So like I knew all that. And when I know I have a resource like that and it's been validated and I've got feedback, I double down on that stuff. Now, would I always use an hour and a half long resource? Hell no, no, not for lower ticket stuff, not for lower sophistication, not for lower attention span. I just know my market and my buyer for this. And if they can't give me an hour and a half before the call, I'm not going to want to work with the guy for 12 weeks. It's the way it is in that particular offer, which is great. But again, and this is to sell something pretty much within this price point. These offers that this guy is hopping on the call for are anywhere from $597 to $29.97. So pretty much right in this wheelhouse. And that's why I chose to go with the masterclass method with that particular, again, process in that particular offer and brand. And then lastly, and this is the one I've been diving into more and more, and I've actually been embedding more and more into my processes and how I'm building sales teams going forward. And what this enables certain people to do in certain business models is actually totally eliminate sales calls, number 4. So there's a potential, and I'm not going to dive totally into that. Again, we could make that for another session. But when executed right, like I actually saw somebody recently with this exact model do 800K in revenue in 3 days. And some of you guys may have seen this guy's YouTube videos are posting about this through a workshop paid event doing exactly this without taking a sales call. 800K in revenue. And that was one example. I've actually seen it in multiple, and I'm actually starting to test it and use it in my own businesses and see it works. So once I see something work, and again, this is something number 4 specifically is something I started on back in mid-November, and now I have a bit more data and feedback. But it's been pretty exciting actually to go through the learning curve, because as a sales trainer and professional, I guess, and producer that's produced 10 million or so in deals in the last handful of years, it's always cool for me to like see new systems and new processes that are more efficient, right? I think all of us are looking for that in our businesses. If there's like a better way. Now, a lot of times the better way, and in this one, even what I just said, usually, and in this case, I believe, kind of sounds too good to be true. But then I dove in and saw it happen for this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy. And then I actually went in and bought 1 or 2 of these events and attended them. And I'm like, okay, I connected the dots. I see how it works now. From the outside in, it certainly did sound too good to be true. But when you know the intricacies of the content and the structure of what's said and how it's said and how it's delivered, I could see in one of these cases, it transitioned in from an initial paid workshop, which again, I'm going to dive into number 4 here further, guys, of anywhere between 97 and 197 for this offer. And then he was getting back end closed deals of 25 or 50K respectively. And again, think about collecting money on the front end, getting back end closed deals of 25 to 50K and not taking sales calls. How the hell is that even possible? So I'll break that down a little further. It's very, very interesting. And again, it's something I'm embedding a little bit more into our sales teams and sales. Well, a few sales teams I've already built and got results in it. I'm just tweaking it in more and more places in the businesses I'm consulting in or help manage. But again, workshops can be a few different things, right? I would say anything that ideally multi-day events, but even multiple hours. Not like it can't be a 1-day workshop that's 4 to 6 hours and just totally intensive. Paid workshops, live events, virtual events, challenges, I think are where I've had the most success with this personally and where I've been seeing the most success with this. And that's where we've had some success. Some of you guys may know we ran a 10-day challenge in Audience Lab that may have brought some of you guys into our ecosystem on this call. I'm not sure. We've run PDOX challenges in the past, a couple of our 7-day challenges that took off and got really, really big, and it blew up PDOX to, we started our PDOX brand, for any of you guys that don't know. That was our first company before Audience Lab and Sales Lab. We launched in January of 2021. We launched with a 7-day challenge for, I want to say 97. It's either 97 or 147, whatever, either or. It was right in that ballpark. 7-day challenge. We just developed our 6K high ticket back end program, and it was just that. And that 7-day challenge took off so much and had so many people interested in hearing about our high ticket program that we did 1.6 million cash collected and 2.3 million invoiced the first year we launched our PDOX brand. And again, we started with a multi-day event and a 7-day challenge. Now, I was probably a little naive and just so caught up in the success and being a part of it that I wasn't actually breaking down what I was doing and sitting back and looking at it like I do now. Like at the time, I wasn't saying, oh, we're going to run this 7-day paid challenge and we're going to get definitely hundreds, if not thousands of people to enroll this year. And 18% are going to enroll into it. Like I didn't know all that or map all that out. I was just kind of caught in it and it happened. But now looking back on it, it was exactly this process that we did. I just didn't know what I know now and didn't break down everything into an SOP and analyze things the way I do now. So it's interesting for me, like just even seeing this work for my businesses before I taught it or knew it was necessarily a system. It's just kind of interesting to talk about, you know. But yeah, so that's just a great example. So what are some great examples of these? So for instance, one of the last challenges that I ran for PDocs was our Messenger Mastery Challenge in 5 days. So it was a 5-day challenge. You're going to have new messaging launched by the end of 5 days. I believe it was under $100 to get into. And whether this was messaging for your ads, your landing page, your sales page, your emails, your social media, your DM scripts, wherever your objective and your platform was, you were going to have new messaging understood, launched, and getting results and converting and opening up the feedback loop that I teach within 5 days. It's a pretty cool challenge. We got a lot of results. What happened out of that? We had that one was 12%. So 12% of the attendees ended up putting on a call and getting into one of our back end higher tier programs that were between 5 and 15K for that particular business. So again, that was just an example. And that one, I think I want to say we ran last summer, August-ish, was when I ran that one. But we usually do a couple each year. And Matt, I ran a few events last year. We ran a challenge in the spring, and then the master class that I was talking about up here that I had success with, and I'm going to show you guys some feedback here shortly from a recent attendee, that one we filmed last spring. So a lot of these are just great resources that, number one, live and in person, I get results, I get upsells, I get conversions. More importantly, I get people results. If you get somebody a result in 5 days for $100, they're going to be open to hear about what you can do working with them on a closer capacity, on a high ticket level, when you really dive into their business and not just this one aspect of it, right? So, any kind of challenge, right? It could be master your offer, it could be master your messaging, master your acquisition, master your ads, master your content, master your hooks. I mean, you could go on and on. I could come up with a challenge for anybody's expertise in almost no time. And all you have to say to somebody to get them interested in your challenge is, hey, Jeremy, if I could show you in 5 days how to launch new converting messaging that actually reaches your audience and gets you replies for people wanting to speak to you, would you be interested? Right? You just go out and say that. Like it's not overcomplicated. Whenever we're launching any type of challenge or front end event, and again, these with this particular strategy, you get some money on the front end. So number one, let's say we're running ads to get traffic. Your objective then, and what we did with PDocs when we had success, is we created what was called a self-liquidating offer. Our challenge would break even on ad spend. Then all of our high ticket back end sales were 100% profit, right? Break even on the front end. Now we've got to the point where most of my challenges are profitable on the front end. So I make more than my ad spend and then I get upsells, right? But the main objective, let's say, again, we're using ads on a 97 or 147 challenge, is really it's a break-even funnel in essence, what you call a self-liquidating offer. And then you're going to get people results. They're going to want to hear how you can work with you closer, and boom, you take them into a full sales call in some cases. Now, the strategy I was talking about and what was different, what I've been seeing without sales calls is, hey, I get you this great result in 3 days, and throughout the 3 days dropping you this content, I'm going to hint and I'm going to be very straight up and just tell you the price of the pitch, and I don't expect most of you to buy. Let's dive back into the content, and then I'll drop you, more value bombs and more aha moments and make your jaw drop more. And then I'll talk about, hey, don't you think if you work with me closer, you could probably get there faster? And I'll drop hints throughout the hours or the days before I really actually drop the offer. In this case, it was taking people to an offer for a 25 or 50K back end high ticket offers. One was like more of an in-person, and the 20, like say the 50K had an in-person as well as like the actual 25K core flagship offer. Long story short, the way they do this is, let's say we get 100 people to the challenge and we wow people and people are getting great results and you're delivering phenomenal information and they inquire about wanting to work close with you. You take them to a landing page where this is all they do. They're like, hey, the offers are this much in this month, and I know it sounds like a lot, but we have all kinds of financing options. What I want you to do if you're interested, in potentially working with our team, Hold on 1 minute, guys. I think I might have to let my dog out for a second. If she starts barking again, I'll do that. Yeah, so what it does is say, hey, if anyone's interested, that's what I'll do. Hold on 1 second, guys. Sorry. Okay, I'm back. So yeah, when anybody expressed interest, he took them to a particular page. In this case, it was if you're interested in the program, sign up here. We take $1,000, 100% refundable deposit, and you get my direct text number on the next page. Then, as soon as you get that, you text me and say, hey, I've sent my deposit. I'm looking to apply. Then my team reaches out and speaks with you very briefly to make sure we can help you. If so, we take you to our financing expert who makes a payment plan work out for you, right? Like, so there was no actual sales call. It was all done through text. And then once somebody is pre-approved and you've texted back and forth and kind of pre-qualified them, you send them over to a particular financing department in this case. Now, I know not everybody has payment plans. Again, this is for a larger 25 or 50K offer, but just to show you how that worked. And I saw on these workshops, in a couple of cases, people getting paid in fulls for the 25 and 50Ks. So it wasn't even all payment plans. There's always a certain percentage of people that are going to attend your stuff that have a budget that can invest today. So yeah, that was just a pretty cool way to see it done and kind of go around that whole sales call process. Now, I think ideally for a software specifically, you almost want to send them to a sales call unless your challenge is going through the software and you've already demoed it and showed results. Then you probably wouldn't have to. So again, the closer your workshop or your event is tied directly to your core offer and the problem you solve, the less explaining and sales needs to be done because they're pretty much pre-sold if they've seen it all and they've gotten whatever that small micro result was in 3, 5, 7 days, whatever your challenge is, right? So again, purpose here is to sell a premium offer really ASAP and massively condense the sales cycle, especially if your premium offer, say, is somewhere from 10 to 100K, right? And I'm talking about, again, high ticket premium and premier offers. So hopefully this is helpful. I'm going to go back and take some questions and check the chat. I know I went through a lot, but again, the last few months of just breaking down a lot of information, a lot of colleagues, competitors, and just really, as I said, guys, a lot of the successful entrepreneurs and business owners leading their industries, this is what's working for all their different offers. A lot of them are doing all of these, like their micro pitches out there to their entry level people. Then they have a VSL selling their $7 ebook or their $97 whatever. Then they send you to a webinar or a masterclass to sell you on their 2K course, or they sell you right into a 197 virtual event challenge paid event, and then upsell you or book you in to a potential high ticket call if you're a fit. Now, we all know on those challenges, and it's great the more transparent you can be. What I've seen work better is when people come right out and say, hey guys, this is a $97 3-day challenge where I'm going to deliver this. Also, and guys, you probably see this all the time, right? You probably get in these workshops or these challenges and you're just wondering what am I going to be pitched for, how much on day 3. So, hey, it's day 1. Before we dive into the curriculum, let me just take all the pressure off. There's about 100 people on this challenge. Great to have you all here. Probably only 5 or 10% of you are going to be interested. But at the end of this, and I'll talk to you guys more, I'm going to drop a 50K and a 25K premium offer that's going to blow your socks off. So here, I got it out of the way. Let's dive into the curriculum. And then again, now you've pre-framed your whole challenge, whether it's 6 hours, whether it's 6 days, whatever, you can go drop and hint back to your offer whenever and just tie back into it. You've relieved a lot of that apprehension or skepticism that we've got on. I've talked to a few people that got on workshops or live events, whether free or paid, and they're like, man, this was all just a pitch fest to lead into something else. Like sometimes there's no value even delivered, right? So people are always skeptical about that. So the more when you do these paid events, you can just be honest and upfront with people. And again, guys, we're not all going to be pitching 25. I mean, it could be a $97 event where we're like, hey, at the end of this, I might pitch you a 1997 data package where you can get an identity resolution tool and an in-market audience for your ad campaigns, right? We can tweak it to anything, but they still everything falls back within the fundamentals of these 3 things, right? Get the right person on the right call or in the right room, say the right thing, make the right offer, again, to get your messaging down and say the right thing in your pitch and how you do a presentation or how you present, I think really boils down to the 4 C's that I broke down. And then which one of the 4 style of offers am I using right now and for what objective and why, right? So those are all the things that tie into this. Hopefully you guys found this helpful. I'm going to go dive into, I'm going to stop screen share. I'm going to dive into the chat real quick, and then I'll call on anybody that has questions. Otherwise, I'm going to do a little Q&A where you guys can unmute and dive in. Cool. Just starting out. Love some basic broad offer ideas. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We can certainly talk about that. Yeah, I'll give you 1 second here. Let me just read a couple more of these, Matt. I'll go to you in a minute. I have an offer, but would still be interested. Okay, cool. So let me go to you first, Matt. Matt, when you said starting out with love some basic broad offer ideas, were you more meaning if you don't have an offer whatsoever and how to like use somebody else's offer, or do you mean how to craft your first offer?
Yeah, no, more so how to craft my first offer. I've signed up really a couple months ago and have been using some of the very basic functions of Audience Lab, and I think the challenge for me is my brain's going like 1,000 different directions with all that is possible, and obviously like where to start, prove the model out, and then sort of build and iterate, because perfection is the enemy of good, and really want to kind of just start to ROI my investment a little bit slowly, right?
Sure. I actually created a video just a couple of weeks ago. A couple of Audience Lab and DaaS members had asked for a video kind of specifically about, hey, how do I package the pixels specifically on performance, and how do I pitch this? Or how do I package some in-market audience? So I have a video specifically about that. I will send to you directly, and I'll also go drop in the school community for everybody after the call here. Another thing I've done in the past, Matt, that I think would be really helpful, and again, for anybody else interested, I have done offer creation as kind of my area of expertise. Now, in the last 12 minutes, it's really tough to dive into for any one person, never mind with a couple other questions and wanting to get to other people. But one of my best workshops ever, nothing to sell you there, just to be clear, but I have an offer creation workshop that over 100 people have went through and crafted a high ticket offer. I've personally crafted, Matt, over 300 high ticket offers for clients in the last 5 years that have been validated and sold in the market. So I have a pretty good structure on how to do it no matter where you're coming from. So I'm happy to send you that as well. Again, just in 10 minutes here, I don't think I can.
Yeah, no, please do. Please do. I'd love to watch that video. And then I also scheduled my DaaS onboarding call with you later this week, so we'll be able to connect then as well. But I'd love to watch that video ahead of time and kind of come in with a little pre-work and some thoughts.
Awesome. Good. So you have your THO. Cool. So there should be 1 or 2 videos that my guys sent you to watch prior to that call too, where I kind of dive into that. If you haven't, really make sure you go through that. It'll just help us get the best understanding. But great. Absolutely. And that's what I was wondering. So anybody that's not yet had that call that is in DaaS, it would be much more overwhelming. Everything's going to be much clearer after we have that call for sure. But the 2 resources I just mentioned, I think will help in addition for, anybody, again, struggling with some of the things or with some of the questions you had there, Matt.
Great. Yes, I will. I'll speak to you on Thursday, and thanks for this. This was great today.
Awesome. Cool. Great. You have an offer, but would still be interested, Caitlin. Cool. So what I was talking about, like if you don't have an offer, for instance, so we all know of affiliate programs. We all know of referral programs. And what I've had the most success with, guys, I'm not a big fan of affiliates. We have a small referral program just because we've been asked, and we probably should really do better with it internally, to be honest. But there's any program, offer, service that I totally stand behind. If I go talk to that business owner and say, hey, if I send you some clients, would you kick me back 5 or 10% of each deal? Is almost always a yes. So number one, a lot of times I just connect person with service or expert, right? If you can just connect the right person with the right provider or the right expert, and there's a deal to be made, there's usually some type of performance compensation. So that's the easy way to look at it. Now, there's even more simpler ways with softwares nowadays. Every software has an affiliate. If you sign up through my link through GHL, you get a commission, right? If you sign up through my new software, my new tracking app. So you can literally find a software that solves a big problem for people and find people that have this problem. This is a quick way to kind of make money without an offer. Something I did in the past, just starting out in a more personal way, was I got people that were interested in setting up a particular website or a blog to a small hotel room with about 30 people there, right? I didn't actually have my own hosting, my own website. I did have a blog and I knew how to launch one. But what I did have was a hosting service that people needed if they were going to launch their website or their blog, that I would simply say, hey, if you guys sign up right now for this hosting service that you need to launch your blog, here's my link and I will walk you through and we'll do the setup. So everybody that bought, I got $150 off, right? That was an example. I had no offer. I had no product. I just brought people with a problem, gave them some info on a little knowledge that I had, and then said, hey, if you guys want to also do this, you're going to need hosting. You can get it from me or you can get it somewhere else. But if you get it from me right now, I'll set it up with you, right? And almost everybody in that room ended up buying it because they knew they needed it one way or another. So guys, I mean, there's all kinds of examples, but the easiest ones are really something that you've already had great success with, a product or a service that you've bought. And I would go back to that person, whether it's a friend, a business owner, a colleague. Hey, I'm so bought into your product. I loved it. I love this service. I love the result, the outcome. If I referred people or bought clients over, is there some kind of kickback? I mean, you can have those discussions with anybody. So much opportunity out there. A lot of times I'll leverage other people's offers and expertise. Not so much in the past few years because we've created great expertise and offers. But if needed, like if somebody needs something that I don't provide, I'll find the person that provides it and connect them. My network is pretty large enough to do that on almost any level. So that's always an option. But yeah, those are just some ways I would think about that. What else do we have for questions? So yeah, that'd be great. Can you send me? So Rob Allen, can you send me the offer video? Yeah. So the two videos I mentioned, again, they don't 100%. Well, the first one I mentioned to Matt about the pricing of the pixel and the in market. Yeah, that obviously directly correlates. The offer creation is just more general. Anybody creating any offer out of their skill set, expertise, or even where do I get that to start if I'm not really sure what expertise or skill set to package up. So that one's a little more general. But yeah, what I'll do is I will post both in the school community here, within a half hour or so after today's session. Where is the weekly meeting or DaaS for the workshop? So Jason, is there a weekly meeting where new DaaS members can get workshop? Workshop G, can you just elaborate, Jason? What are you exactly asking? I'm sorry. Are you still on, Jason Humphreys?
Hey, Raymond.
Oh, there you are.
Hey, buddy. How you doing, man? Thank you so
Good,
much,
good.
by the way, for this high level sort of review of the stuff that's worked for you and your business, man. I really appreciate you sharing that, and I want to know where I can get that hat. My question is there a weekly meeting? So myself and Celia, my business partner, we missed last week's meeting. We've purchased a sort of a starter plan, and we have an agency. So what we wanted to find is a place to workshop, go to market with an offer and see what other people are doing and sort of, compare and just get, a better sense of what's working, best practices, who's doing what, that sort of thing. And like collectively just learn from other people and sort of a mastermind format. Is there a weekly meeting that does that? And then I guess the part B to that question would be, I didn't get a chance to onboard with you, and I would love to do a session with you one-to-one if that's an option. So that was what I'm
depending on the plan. So all the onboarding, the one-on-ones with me are for DaaS and higher. If you're at the entry-level incubator program, you don't quite get all the same resources in that call. So if that's what you jumped in, Jason, that may be why you didn't have that call. It's just for the DaaS clients. Are you in a DaaS program?
I got to go look and find out what I bought, but that's
the only difference. There's incubator is a little less data and a little less resources and access than the data as a service. That's more for reseller and want to get clients. Incubator is the step into that, is maybe get one client with this or test the data out for myself. So generally speaking, that's kind of what delineates the two. Like, hey, I want to test it out or use this for one client, and then maybe jump into the full reseller program, or hey, I want to have access to all the tools and plenty of data to resell it.
Got it. Good distinction. Good to know. So I think we bought the baby package, but we're going to quickly upgrade because we're using Pixel and our own custom taxonomy to run ads. So we're going to drive down acquisition costs right away. So
gotcha. And to answer your initial question, that's a great one. And that's actually something I would like to put together. So I'm actually going to get with my team. And that was actually one of the better suggestions I've had for a new type of workshop. Adam every once in a while runs his high level workshops. We do the office hours workshops for more of the tech and support questions. We have the media buying workshop. We have the sales workshop, but we don't necessarily have like a client collaborative, especially with some of our most successful. Now, to answer your question, Jason, most of our most successful clients, guys like Emmett, guys like Rob, guys like Garrett, we've had a few people that have recorded into like a 1 hour masterclass or session, or they've come on and taught workshops, but we've never done it in a collaboration. So that's something I would let me look into and get with some of those higher level clients and see if they're open to doing it. I don't see why they wouldn't be, but it's not something we currently do. So I love the suggestion, and let me take the feedback to my team and see what we can put together, man.
I love that, man, because there's a couple of names I already recognize in this room, and I've literally sat in the sales teams or led their sales teams for multi-million-dollar weekend events. So there's some heavy hitters in here, man. And I would love to, again, just be more collaborative and rising tide raises all ships. And I think everybody learns that way. Like, at least I can only speak for myself, but not to project here, but I would love that, dude. If that's something you create, I think I'd be there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, normally that's the way we do create things in our businesses. Clients and customers tell us what they want or what they're not getting. We do our best to put it together. So I love the suggestion. I'm going to look into it and see what I can do to make that come to fruition.
Many thanks, my man. Thank you.
Cool. Well, that about takes us to the end. We got about 3 more minutes. I don't really see many more questions. Andrew, is that one for the incubator plan as well? So guys, with the workshops, I think a lot of them, we do give access to both. So we have kind of a private school community for the higher tier clients, and then we have the school community for either free or the lower tier products. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that everybody gets access to the workshops, but DaaS clients get different sort of resources and have access to more data for reselling. For instance, the DaaS launch book is an extensive 52-page guide of a breakdown of everything you need to go sell this, the messaging, the pricing, the deliverables, but not everybody in the incubator gets that because that's not set up as a reseller plan. Again, you can start reselling, and we've had people come into the incubator. You get access to 4 lists a month in that plan, sell a handful of lists at $500 a pop, recoup their investment, and then they upgrade it to a DaaS plan. So it's certainly an option, and you can kind of start to sell with an incubator, but you'll realize with only 4 lists and very limited pixel matches within what you do, you can only serve a certain caliber of client. Like you can really only serve 1 or 2 tiny clients with the amount of data you have. So again, it's a good starting point, and I certainly recommend people that are on a budget and capital is an issue in getting started. There's certainly ways to start an incubator 2, 3, 4x your investment and then upgrade. And yeah, we like to show you how to do it. But unfortunately, the DaaS clients get access to a little different level of resources and data because really they're paying more and they have the program set up to fully go resell to some of these larger clients.
Makes total sense.
It should be, so Celia, it should be 2 lists a month B2C and 2 lists a month B2B. If it's not, please get with Jaden or Andrew on my team to reset your account properly. But the incubator is supposed to be 4 lists, 2 B2B and 2 B2C. So if somebody didn't set up your account right, or there was an error, we can do whatever it is to make it right and either give you extra lists or get it up to par. But either Andrew or Jaden on my team, you could just submit a support ticket and say, hey, I'm in the incubator, I'm only getting 2 lists. Or maybe you didn't know you have 2 lists in the other builder, right? You're supposed to have 2 lists in the B2B builder and 2 lists in the B2C builder. Hopefully that clarifies, but if you have any problems, email one of the 2 guys I mentioned, Jaden at audiencelab.io, Andrew at audiencelab.io, or submit a support ticket. But I believe you might just want to check your other builder. You might have lists that you don't even know were there. Cool. All right, guys. So at the end of today, once I get this stuff, converted and downloaded, I'll upload this recording for anybody that either missed it, hopped on late, wants to watch it back. I know I went through a lot, and I say this often, but I'm kind of cursed and blessed as a fast talker. Take that for what it's worth. And then the 2 videos I mentioned, the one that I created a few weeks ago for a client request on some more pricing information and my offer creation one, I will drop all those into both school communities. So whichever one you're in, I'll make sure I get them both there within the hour or so. All right, guys, thank you for attending and all the kind words and the feedback and the suggestions, Jason, Matt, etc. I got notes on that and I will get on that stuff for you guys. Thank you.